Here we have a package that came from Brian, Texas, and Brian sent us an Asus laptop that doesn't power on. The Asus laptop has a USB-C port, and Brian did mention that his USB-C port is not working. Now, looking at the USB-C port from the outside, I did not see anything unusual, but when I opened the back cover to look at the USB-C port from the inside, I already took the board out, so to save time. Let me show you how the USB-C port looked like when I took out the board. Like this. Look at the port. It's clearly damaged. Some pins probably pulled off the board. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and replace this connector. Now, I had a very, very difficult time finding any ports for this laptop, and what I ended up doing is buying USB-C ports for the ZenPad, not for this laptop, for the ZenPad. It appears that ZenPad may be using the same ports because of the way this looks. I just looked at the way the pins are aligned, and I assumed that the ZenPad USB-C ports are gonna fit this board. So we do not know yet. We're gonna try it once we take this port out. USB-C port is not only used to power laptops on, but it's used as a data port. Out of the USB-C port, we can make an HDMI port, display port, VGA port, USB-C, USB 3 ports, USB 2 ports. We can make a LAN port, like for example, this device here from Dell. You plug it in the USB-C port, and out of that port, you get all those ports here. Okay, so HDMI, display, VGA, USB 2, USB 3, USB 3. So let's go ahead and remove the USB-C port that's on this board and replace it with the one that we got for the ZenPad. Hopefully this port will work for this board, and hopefully after the job is done, the board will work again. Let's go ahead and see how that is done. Right now, if we use low melt solder, it's not gonna make much of a difference because there are hidden pins that sits between the board and the port itself. We cannot apply low melt solder there. So we strictly have to use the hot air station. I do not like to apply a lot of heat to a board. Since we cannot use low melt solder, what I'm going to do is heat this up on a preheater. So we're gonna preheat this to about 200 degrees. When that board reaches 200 degrees, then it will take about 200 degrees on the connector itself to be able to safely remove that connector. If I do not use a preheater, then I have to heat up the connector to about 450 degrees until this whole area in here gets extremely hot and the board reaches melting temperature, and that's when we will be able to remove this connector from the board. By doing this, we can expose a lot of other components to heat, and a lot of bad things can happen when using so much heat on one area of the board. So I'm gonna go ahead and preheat this for a couple of minutes, and then we will use our hot air station at low temperature to remove this USB-C port. So I have the IR preheater here from Xtronic. I've had this for almost 7-8 years. I mainly use it to preheat boards. It does come with the hot air and soldering station, which I still use if I need something with a big tip. Hot air on this I do not use anymore. I'm using the Quick, but I use this mainly for preheating the board. I'll post a link in the description if you want to know more about this preheater. Right now it's at 62 degrees. We're gonna have to wait a few minutes. The board is still preheating, 168 degrees. If you're a beginner, this is all you really need, and it comes with a preheater. I honestly used this for maybe 4 years before I started to upgrade the equipment, but this is, you can do almost anything with this machine. And it's very cheap, maybe $300, $280. Preheater, hot air, and soldering iron. So the board should be getting hot. Yes, it's hot. Okay, I think that's enough preheating. The board is fairly hot. Let's go under the microscope and start heating up the USB-C port while the board is hot. I'm gonna add a little bit of flux. Okay, so that port came right up, as you can see. And the reason it came off that quick is because we used a preheater. We preheated the board to about 200 degrees, and then I used about 270 degrees on the hot air, and all the pads looks good. Remember I told you there's those pins here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's also these pins here, which are hidden. These pins are in between the connector and the board. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 and 12, 24. Then we have 25, 26, 27, 28. So almost 28 pins to solder. Actually 29, 30 pins. We have 30 pins to solder. The first thing I want to do is check if the connector that I bought for the ZenPad will work on this laptop or not. And those ports are not cheap. I think about $19 a port. $19 for the port is a lot. Most of the charging ports online are about $4 or $5. You can even get them for lower price if you buy them in bulk, but this one about $19 for the port. Hopefully I have the right port, and so far it doesn't appear that we have the right port. Okay, it doesn't look like we have the right port. This is how the port should look like, and this is the one that I have here. This is the one that I bought. I mean, when I bought this port, I actually looked at the pin alignments, and these pins are alike, and these look similar. I mean, look at this. We have one pin here, we have one here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the other side 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3 from here. 1, 2, 3, and we have 1, 2, 3. I mean, the pins, the alignment of the pins, very similar. This one comes with 2 legs, and this one comes with 1 leg. What I think I'm going to do is maybe cut off the legs. For this laptop we cannot find any USB-C ports, so we have to make some modifications in order to make this laptop work. I think what I'm going to do for this one is cut the legs off, the USB-C port, and maybe solder the connector without the legs. We do not have any other choice. We either send the laptop back to the customer unfunctional and the customer will never be able to fix that laptop, or we're gonna try to make some modifications in order to make this work. I mean, the legs are not even in the same position. They are in a whole different position. So let's go ahead and cut the legs. This is done, and let's do this. All right, so we just damaged a perfectly new connector in hopes that we can get Brian's laptop to work. Hi, how are you? Okay.
I called you yesterday.
Uh-huh. Which one?
So, about the laptop that split wine.
Oh, spilled wine on it?
Yeah, my husband,
which one?
not me.
This is the HP.
Hi, I have an iPhone 7. I'm talking on it right now. I think what happened is the battery swelled up and it expanded it and it popped the case open, so I have it kind of scotch taped together.
Okay.
What do you charge to put a new battery? Okay.
All right.
I'll see
Thank
you.
you.
Well, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I had to shut off the camera for the past 20-30 minutes, and this connector is not working out. I'm not able to put the connector back in place. The placement of the connector, the placement of the pins that you see here to the pads are actually different. The spacing between the pads and the pins on the connector is different than that on the board. So the distance from here to here is different on the connector, and the connector does not fit in place. I tried very hard to force it to fit in place, but I cannot get this connector to go in. I cannot get this connector to go in. So right now we're gonna call it off. I've been trying for the past 20-25 minutes, and I've done a lot of modifications to this connector, but I cannot get it to go in. There's a lot of things wrong about this connector, and that's why this connector is not meant for this board. I tried to modify it in every way possible to make it fit, because that's the only way we're gonna get this laptop working. It's a no-go as of now. So I'm still gonna post this video on YouTube even though it's not fixed. I do not want to paint a picture perfect image showing that we are able to fix everything. Sometimes we get devices that we cannot fix. For this particular laptop, we are not able to fix it because we cannot get parts for it. We tried to modify a part that's meant for the ZenPad and not for this particular laptop, but that did not work out. Other times we get devices that we cannot fix because we cannot figure out the problem, or we cannot get a circuit diagram for that particular device, so we cannot fix it. Other times we get devices that may have suffered liquid damage and they have a lot of issues on them. Fixing one issue is not going to fix the problem, so we have to spend a lot of hours working on every part of the board. It doesn't make sense to spend all that time when being paid only that much money. We have a lot of things to get done, and we cannot spend hours and hours working on one particular device. I'm sorry, Brian, I was not able to get this laptop fixed for you. I tried my best. I tried to modify the connector as much as I can, but it's not gonna fit because it's not meant for your laptop. I hope they make USB-C connectors for your laptop in the future. And we've been getting a lot of laptops with USB-C problems, like the 15-inch HP 360 laptop. USB-Cs are not available in the market. The only USB-C port I was able to find is a video that I made, I put on YouTube. Just a sec.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, how are you, man?
All right, doing good.
I want to fix my iPhone 8.
So I just wanted to share this information with you. I hope you enjoyed this video even though the device was not fixed. Go ahead and like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already done so. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.